What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. This is a recap of 90 Day Fiance's Happily Ever After Season 3, Episode 1. Just a quick disclaimer, I haven't yet looked to see if anyone has uploaded this online, so I don't know whether or not I'm going to have current screenshots of this, or if I'm going to have to use some old ones, because it's kind of complicated up here in Canada getting TLC online. I was watching it on television, but I don't have like access to it online. So if no one like bootlegged it online, I might have to use old screenshots. Just a quick FYI. The episode kicked off with Jorge and Anfisa's coupling. Jorge lets us know that he and Anfisa have been separated for about a month, and he's been living both with his parents and in hotels as well, and that he wants to seek revenge on Anfisa for allegedly breaking his heart. Then after that, we see Chantel and Pedro, who let us know that they haven't been able to save up money because the more money they make, the more money Pedro wants to send back to his family. And in the latest scheme from his mom and sister, they've demanded that he send them a flat screen TV. Why they don't just ask for the money so they can buy the TV their damn selves, I don't know, but here we are. Pedro bought the TV for what I'm assuming is a couple $100. And then when they go to the post office to try and get it shipped to the Dominican Republic, they find, of course, that it costs an exuberant amount of money. In fact, it costs over $1,000 for them to send the TV over there, which quite obviously is more than it costs for them to buy it in the first place. They wind up leaving the post office without sending it, but they still have to buy the box, which I think was like about $50 or something like that, which for a couple that's already struggling with money and student loans, is quite a lot of money to waste on literally nothing. In case you're wondering whatever happened to Azan and Nicole after he refused to Skype in for last season's finale, he claims that he didn't in fact break up with Nicole. The only reason he didn't Skype into the special was because of bad reception, which I think is a little bit too convenient. A lot of rumors were swirling over the hiatus of the show that Azan actually found a woman in the UK to scam while he gave up on Nicole and her lack of money to be able to sponsor him in the US. And I think at that point he was getting a lot closer to being able to be brought into the UK and left Nicole on the back burner, and because that fell through, he's back groveling to Nicole yet again. To talk about all of this, Nicole meets up with a friend at a bar and lets her know that Azan's been interviewing for his visa and can have it by the end of the week and fly over literally the next day after it's approved, if all goes well. And her friend reveals to us in a talking head that she doesn't see them lasting or even getting married, and she also questions Azan's intentions with her friend Nicole. Surprise, surprise, you guys, it only took a couple of weeks of separation for Molly and Luis before Molly begged him to come back home. She claims that it's because she doesn't want to be one of those people who divorces quickly and throws in the towel over, you know, mundane things that could have been worked out. But in my opinion, if she left Luis, it would be a symbol of her finally prioritizing her daughters and understanding that her motherhood comes before this junk that's going on with Luis. Her youngest daughter, I think Kenzie, let us know that she had been crying almost every day since Luis left, which is quite sad and almost pathetic, considering there's no way a normal person looks at that relationship and thinks it's reasonable. Like, how the heck did she get that invested in, you know, a 22-year-old? Molly climbs into bed with Luis, and he tells her that he felt like she was really rude and angry towards him during the breakup, and she brings up her own concerns about his disinterest in being a father figure to her kids, as if he's not in the same age range as her oldest one. He tells her that it's not easy to step up because her kids are so wild, but that he'll try, and she says there is no try around here. Then we move on over to Paola, who claims to be working a lot as a model and actress, and that she bought her new convertible alone, but honestly, I've never really seen her do that much outside of Instagram, which isn't a diss on her at all. Like, being an Instagram influencer is very, very lucrative, and you can make a living doing that. So if that's what she's doing, I don't know why she doesn't just say she's a social media influencer instead of trying to lie about what it is she does for her money. Pal's aunt later FaceTimes her to reveal that her grandmother's health has been slowly deteriorating. By the way, she's got brain cancer, and that her grandma is now living in the hospital with no mobility, and asks a lot about seeing her and Russell and that meeting him is her biggest wish. Back on over to Anfisa, we see her doing some boxing lessons, and I think it was to get out her aggression and anger after all that George had put her through. She said that she was ready to cry after George lied about her on like national television, claiming that she was a prostitute of sorts, which was absolutely not true. And then we see her drive back home. She's got this beautiful luxury apartment. She's driving what I think was a Mercedes, while George is living like crap. And I feel like that was some good karma on her part. And she said that her money comes from being a social media influencer, which again, you know, if that's what Pal's doing, she should just admit to it. It's a great way to make money. It's very innovative, and look how great it's working out for Anfisa. She also says that she's back in school, though she doesn't say for what exactly. And then we turn back on over to George's side of the story, where he meets up with divorce attorneys who just so happen to be the same attorneys we saw last season when Anfisa had beat him up in the law office about the postnuptial agreement. He honestly looks unkempt as all hell and borderline like a serial killer here, okay? He claims that none of his businesses are worth anything these days, which is quite sad, but also suspicious because just a couple of months ago, he was arrested for transporting over 100 pounds of weed. So what was he doing that for, if not for his businesses? He brought his sister with him to the lawyer for moral support, and she makes sure that the lawyers keep track of the amount of money in bags, shoes, and jewelry that George had bought for Anfisa throughout their relationship. What was quite funny to me about all of this was that George claimed that Anfisa probably couldn't afford a lawyer, which is quite funny considering the way that she's living compared to him, right? He's with his parents, he's in and out of like little cheap hotels. He just looks a hot ass mess, and he's not driving like a high-end car or anything like that, but Anfisa's living in a beautiful luxe apartment. She's driving a Mercedes. She's got her influencer money. I'm quite sure Anfisa is doing just fine in the legal department. Anyway, though, the lawyers, when it comes to figuring out a settlement in their divorce, they say, I think you should probably just offer her up a lump sum. But again, George said earlier that he's out for revenge because Anfisa broke his heart. So I don't know that that's something that he's willing to offer her. I feel like he's trying to fight to get her green card revoked, and he might go the Danielle route and try to get an annulment or something else. Does anyone else wonder why the heck he feels so duped by Anfisa? Because if memory serves me correctly, he's the one who lied about his complete identity. He lied about his finances, his status, everything like that. Anfisa was straight up from the very beginning that she wanted to be taken care of by a rich man. That's specifically what she left her whole entire world for, you know, to follow this guy who lied to her. So why does he feel so duped? I just don't get it at all. Turning back on over to trifling ass Nicole, did that broad really, honestly, truly, in all of her grown-assness, motherhoodness, say, hey, I had to go and sleep over at my mom's house last night because that's the only way I'd get up early. And early is what, 6 a.m.? To hear about Azan's visa thing. Like, your mom has to wake you up at a reasonable hour because you as an adult who's supposed to be raising a child to be an adult can't do that yourself. Absolutely disgusting and embarrassing. I can't believe she's not ashamed to be that stupid on television. The two of them sit there worrying about Azan passing his interview, and her mom still thinks that Azan is just using her, just like the rest of America thinks, okay? Back to Chantel. She starts stressing over upcoming costs for her schooling, books, equipment that she needs for nursing, all of that. Now that she spent it all on a new pair of boobs. At least it seems like she spent it all on a new pair of boobs anyway. For some reason, her husband, Pedro, decides this is a perfect opportunity for him to call his mom about that TV that was going to cost $1,000 to ship over. He tells her about the cost and tells her and his sister that he'll just send money over instead so that they can buy a TV, and they both act like such entitled brats and children. It was absolutely disgusting, and if I were Chantel, I would draw a hard line on this man sending all that money back, especially when his mom was like, send me that money because you owe it to me. For what, sis? Now in the world of David and Annie, we see them head over to a pawn shop to pawn off her engagement jewelry and not his. Okay, girl. They get less than 1/4 of the value of the jewelry at the shop, and David complains about how upset he is that Nikki had her husband Chris wean him off the financial titty as well. Like the whole time he was like, we were expecting to come back to America being supported by Chris. Like a grown man with children is literally up here on national television complaining about the fact that another grown-ass man with his own family isn't financially supporting him anymore. Really, this is really happening. He and Annie now live in some kind of weird firehouse type thing that Chris owns, and he's upset about also having to pay rent to live there. Like other grown-ass people don't have to pay rent or mortgages or anything like that. What an overgrown child. Annie, I feel like this has to be one of the biggest L's in 90 Day Fiance history, aside from that really, really young girl who wasn't allowed to touch the window at the request of her creepy ass husband. He later tells Annie that his son's gonna be moving in with them, and Annie's upset because she won't be able to bang him while his kids around because she likes to moan really, really, really loud, and his ass claps really, really, really loud too. In fact, apparently his ass is so big that it claps a lot louder than she moans. And yeah, she gave us a demo of that moan, and it's quite loud, so it's quite the visual to imagine there. Apparently, you guys, homegirls got the emotional strength to be banging this guy 5 days a week. What? I thought this whole time she was faking the funk for her green card. I don't know how the heck she is doing it 5 days a week for a broke ass man who can't do nothing for her. If I were her, I would have packed my bags up and went back home, because she was probably doing a lot better than this back home in Thailand. 6 hours have passed since Azan's interview with the embassy, and Nicole went back home and still hasn't heard anything from him. Like, apparently she is so stressed out by all of this that she can't even take the time to clean up her damn floor. It looked like it hadn't been vacuumed for at least an entire month. Guys, either Azan failed his interview or scored a green card and split. That's what I was thinking this entire wait. Nicole tries calling her quote-unquote world, which is a creepy way to save this, you know, your man in your phone, but I digress. And of course he doesn't pick up. Now we're back over in Luis and Molly's world, where he has to sit down with her kids to apologize for walking out on them. So her oldest daughter, Olivia, tells Louise that adults are supposed to work through their problems and that her patience is wearing thin with his BS, and that she worries that he's not willing to step up to the plate for her younger sister, Kenzie. Like, she's like, I'm good. I'm older. I've got my life. I got my man. I don't need you. But my sister is really young, and you're supposed to be an active father figure for her. So I need your ass to step up, which is quite frightening how her own mom, Molly, hasn't said this one bit, like, as long as we've seen her here. Crazy, right? Like, how much more grown up some of these kids are than their parents. It's quite sad. Y'all, little Kenzie looked like she'd been paying all the damn bills while Luis was gone. Not that he had any coin to be paying the bills himself. Just look at her face. She refused to talk to his trifling ass because she sees right through him. And when Molly was like, oh, Kenzie, you don't want to say anything? Luis was like, yeah, that's good. I hope you could stay that way the rest of your life. Hell no, I wish a bitch would say that to my non-existent ass child. And then to top things off, in his talking head, Luis says that he hopes that Molly doesn't get it twisted, because if her kids become disrespectful again, he is gonna split just as easily as he did the last time. Guys, when have Molly's children ever disrespected Luis? If anything, Luis just disrespected Kenzie with that lame ass joke about being quiet her whole life. And then the last time he asked, what's the older one, Olivia, whether or not she's seriously dating someone, or F-U-C-K-I-N-G them, saying the full-on vulgar word to his stepchild. And he's claiming that these kids are rowdy and disrespectful? What? In one of the final scenes of the episodes, George meets up with his friend Ramon, who watched George drag Anfisa in the tell-all special, claiming that she's an escort. This guy has some seriously crazy eyes, I tell you. I wonder what he was high off of. George admits to literally lying about Anfisa just to hurt her. Absolutely amazing how disgusting this person has proven himself to be time and time again. Somehow, some way, so many people still defend him, and so many women too, just because Anfisa wants what she wants and she's a materialistic person. Anfisa has never been dishonest or anything like that. Like, if anything, hate Anfisa because she's been physically abusive to George. But no, that's not the reason why so many people hate her. They hate her because she just wants money out of him. Meanwhile, George could lie about his whole entire identity and make up such malicious, like, reputation-ruining, life-ruining claims about her, and that's okay. Ramon claims that someone texted him an actual link to Anfisa nude on webcam, and I think that was a storyline planted by a producer, you know, to get the seeds gossiping and running with George's accusations from last season. And George says he doesn't believe it because he was lying the entire time. Again, a complete POS over there. And in the very final scene of the premiere episode of 90 Day Fiance, Azan finally FaceTimes Nicole call and claims that it took him so long because he had literally been at the embassy over 6 hours. Not sure if I believe that. And they didn't really get to speak that much because the call pretty much almost immediately dropped due to bad signal again. Must be the UK girl calling him. You guys, that wraps up the premiere episode of the 3rd season of 90 Day Fiance, Happily Ever After. As usual, I am more excited to hear what you have to say about everything. So please make sure to leave all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and we'll chat. You can also like this video, subscribe for more. Feel free to share it with your friends as well, and follow me across social media where I absolutely love chatting with you. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.